Hey, I'm Blizzard Planet. Imagine this. You hopped on the band rocket, and now you're on Planet Butter, a world made of sparkly peanut butter, and Blissi, the disco ball of self-reflection, the queen of Planet Butter, is whirling around in her transforming convertible. Eastern philosophy says no ego. Western philosophy is driven by ego. Planet Butter's philosophy says take responsibility for your ego. On Planet Butter, we take responsibility for our ego and we lead with our intuition, what I call Intucentricism, centering on personal expansion rooted in self-friendship, the daily practice of embracing, understanding, and enjoying ourselves. With the inevitable impact of societal expansion, you're tuning in to Self-Friendship Podcast, where playfulness meets societal reflection, where we take a step objective as we critically think, creatively think, giggle, and optimistically approach life through my theory of self-friendship to consciously create your world, your planet. Thank you for joining me in my 53rd episode. Some of what I'll be sharing includes my answer to last week's question of the week, a note on giving and greed, a loving reminder about projection, a note on sports, personality, and emotions, an actionable tip for improving existence, how to stay calm in traffic, and, as always, a brand new question at the end for all of us to self-reflect and self-connect. And email me, selffriendshipodcast@gmail.com. Before we get started, I want to tell you guys a silly story. It's a little party of one action. So party of one, as a loving reminder, means having fun with oneself, for oneself, as oneself. Anywhere, everywhere, no matter who's there. So, in a situation, and I actually have an episode titled this, where most would stress or settle, where most would stress or settle, shine. Here's the thing, guys. I did. I didn't lose them, but I momentarily misplaced my keys, my Airbnb keys. We are in Burleigh Heads, Australia, guys. Queensland, Australia. Hello. Or what do they say? Hello. I don't know. Hello, mate. It's like a little English. I don't know. We'll get there. Anyway, so my Airbnb keys. I got dressed this morning. I put on my little sexy dress. It's like half sheer, half black. Like it's all black, but it's like black stripes that are like sheer and solid stripes. Very thin. And it's very sexy. And I love my dress. I got it from my mom. Wait, that's funny. I got it from my mama. Anyway, hi mom. So I put on my dress. I go get my brekkie, and I was going to go have a little beach picnic. And so I go down, and somewhere along the way, I misplaced my keys. And mind you, my hands were entirely full, and the key was around my finger, like a ring. So, and my hands were full. So like it couldn't have fallen off. It didn't make sense. So I was like, where did it go? And I start retracing all my steps. And again, where most would stress or settle, I'm a voice actor. We got to work on this. Where most would stress or settle, shine. So I don't stress even in moments of losing my keys that would cost $300 by the Airbnb to replace, which is total bullshit. I'm retracing my steps. I'm like, where could I have gone? And I follow all my steps. And along the way, we ask the angels around us, which is other people. So I'm asking all these people for help. And along my way, we meet a very sexy construction worker. He's very handsome. So he helps me. He gives me this, hi Jay, if you're watching. So that's his name. So he gives me this giant wooden magnet detector thing. So I'm walking in the streets with this giant wooden stick magnet thing in my sexy dress, looking for my keys. And then some other people along the way helped me. This lovely woman who was cleaning up garbage in the parking lot. She's such a good citizen. Anyway, everyone was super nice, super friendly, super helpful. But I'm just giggling because I'm like, I know the uni would not do me like that. Like, I know I'm going to find these keys. And I just started giggling so hard because, first of all, I'm obviously having fun and I'm meeting new people as I'm doing this because everybody sees this girl in this sexy dress looking like she lost something at 7 a.m. by the beach. Like, I don't fit in, you know, like that wasn't fitting into the scene. Anyway, so I decide I call this story A Damsel in Distress. And that's what I wanted to tell you because I'm giggling the whole time. And eventually, long story long, I find my keys. What had happened is my hands were full, but when I thought I was about to sit down, I put down my coffee, my matcha that was in my hand in the grass and the keys with it because I was about to sit in the grass, but I decided to first feel the grass to see if it was wet, and it was. So I got up and I left my keys. So anyway, I'm pretty sure because I was optimistic, friendly, and helpful, and other people were helpful, and I had good energy because I was like making friends and being positive and making jokes with myself the whole time. I'm pretty sure that's why I found my keys. And it's also why I met a hot man. And damsel in distress. The end. Okay. Hope you guys like the story. So now moving on. Thanks, Burly Heads, for the story. We love a good story. And we love the laughs. And we love the opportunity to make corny jokes. Damsel in distress. So silly. Okay. So my answer to last week's question of the week, which was, where did you expand your energy this week? So again, for me, today, we're recording on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. Burly Heads. It's a cute little suburb. I think I said that already. It just is. It's like really cute. All right. Last week, though, the example that I encouraged was to simply take a little extra step towards a garbage can that you passed every day, but you can also hop on a flight. All right, a note on giving and greed. I went to a monkey forest nearby to hang with some monkeys and feed them some peanuts, obviously, and bananas. And you know what's really cool is that my parents always called me monkey because I was climbing on everything from before I could even walk. I was literally climbing out of my crib and then crawling to go hang out with my sister when they put me to sleep. I said, ha, bye. Yeah, crazy girl. Anyway, so how cool is it that I live on a tiny island where I can drive 30 minutes to a monkey forest? So cool. And so obviously it was a ton of fun, but what really disappointed me was that the monkeys were very greedy. So it was not very fun to feed the greedy. And the actual experience of my feelings when I observed the greediness really sucked the fun was sucked out of giving, which was very fascinating. So if we take a step objective and really consider how inherently it feels good to give, yet to give where it feels taken for granted, the monkeys being greedy, does not inherently feel good. Which is where the first core method to activate our self-friendship comes in. Boundaries. So this is also where we evaluate whether our response to the greediness, be it monkeys or humans, is it stemming from our healthy ego or an unhealthy ego? Integrating Planit Butter's belief system of Intucentricism versus egocentrism, as I call it. Intucentricism encompasses the embodiment of self-friendship. Egocentrism neglects it. I know it's egocentrism. I like saying it my way better. Welcome to Planit Butter. When we're in a state of our self-friendship practice, embodying a healthy ego, we show up with the willingness and excitement to give simply because it feels good to give, and that is because our inherent emotional needs are being met. When greed, expectancy, or aggression is the response to us giving, then the healthy response is to become self-protective. Boundaries. If we don't become self-protective and continue giving despite not being respected or having our emotional needs met, again, which is why we give in the first place, because it inherently feels good to have our emotional needs met. And probably other reasons that we haven't quite figured out yet. Anyway, if we don't become self-protective, we slip into self-abandonment, which is often labeled as people-pleasing, which is actually a form of egocentrism, the unhealthy ego. Giving, yet sacrificing our own well-being is not giving at all, because it is not coming from a place of having anything to truly give. It is coming from a place of a lack of inherent emotional needs being met independently. So, for the monkeys to show up in an entitled, greedy, expectant, and in some cases aggressive manner, my openness and excitement to give shifted into a more protective energy. My emotional needs were not being met in my attempt to give. This means that my boundaries were being crossed, which inspired me to then self-reflect and self-connect about this experience so I could identify my boundaries and share with you. I hope you found that helpful. Consider it. Now, a loving reminder about projection. When someone misunderstands what you're saying, remember that it is a projection of their own. It can be with anything. It doesn't need to be like a serious misunderstanding. It can be when somebody's excited about something that you're saying and finishes your sentence, but it's different from what you are going to say because it's actually their perspective, their projection. Interesting, huh? We can learn a lot about people in that way. Now, a note on creativity. One time, I submitted the same essay twice in the same semester to the same professor for two entirely different projects, and then a third time to another professor. The first submission got me a B. The second submission with the same professor got me an A. Interesting. The other professor also gave me an A. What does this tell us? Recycling our art is wise and strategic. It also tells us that context is key, like the professor giving me a B and then an A. The context around that. Why? Did one actually respond to the prompt better? Was he in a better mood when he was grading the second time? So many questions. And another thing that this tells us is that our work will perpetually be reinterpreted by both ourselves and others, such as everything in our self-friendship practice. That's why we perpetually reactivate the three core methods: boundaries, confidence, alignment, through self-reflection and self-connection. Now, a note on sports, personality, and emotions. I just want to hold some space to appreciate how fascinating it is that we emotionally feel strongly about ways in which we are physically moving our body, and the way in which we move our body also correlates typically to personality traits that are commonly associated in certain body movements. As in, there are specific personality traits of, stereotypically speaking, but there's a reason. Basketball players, football players, baseball players, ballerinas, volleyball players, you name it. We all have stereotypical personality traits associated with these sports, these body movements, you see? And those who participate in these sports experience emotional charges by the movements in these sports, which is why they play these sports, because there's an emotional reaction. Typically, you like it. And what's really cool about this little appreciation is that I wrote this down while I was waiting outside of a cafe for my sandwich. And then the next day, I ended up going to a ballet class for the first time, and I absolutely loved it. I loved the calmness of the music, the flow of the movements, and the grace mixed with strength. So fun. Now, an actionable tip for improving existence. Anytime I experience something that I don't like in general, but specifically in terms of design or functionality, I make a note about how I want to improve it in my life. Like, I despise when floors are slippery when wet in a place where they should be stable when wet, like next to a pool or at the spa. And I recognize that this isn't the most relatable example, but it's the root of inspiration for sharing this with you in the first place. And also reminding you actually that you can prioritize spas and pools in your life if you choose to. Anyway, so my customized home will exclusively have floors that are not slippery when wet. And what I do is I visualize this and I write this down in my list of details that I have for my future home. This is a significant part of my self-friendship practice because I'm observing all the pieces of the puzzle of my existence and consciously taking steps toward improving them. Another key to highlight about this is in a moment of disliking something, rather than complaining or commenting on it, I'm taking action toward improving it and changing it in my own life. Like most people at a spa or a situation where the floors are wet, they would complain, oh, the floors are wet, it's so this, it's that, blah, 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 or I can't stand this. But like, I'm not doing any of that. I'm saying, oh, whoa, these floors are wet. Boom, immediately write down. Future home, stable when wet floors. That's my first reaction. Not to tell anybody, not to talk about it to people, not to complain, to write it down for my future home. You see, that is where I'm spending my time and energy, is building my future home, not complaining to the staff who has no control over the foundational build of the spa. You see? Okay. Now, a consideration with overthinking. Keeping an app open to let something finish uploading is the equivalent to overthinking. Unnecessary and draining. Now, a perspective dance with Planit Butter. Planit Butter is the embodiment of being high on your own supply. Nice to meet you. Now, a note on being certifiable. Speaking of being high on my own supply, some people say you're certifiable, like it's a bad thing, usually half joking. Meanwhile, plenty of people walk around bragging about how certified they are as a reason to trust them. So I have the potential of being certified, and that connotation implies I'm crazy. But you actually are certified, and it makes you a trustworthy professional? You humans are so funny. Now another little silly one. Planit Butter World Reveal. The latest news is Planit Butter has an evil twin named Planit Bitter. Stick around to see it actualize more and more. Now, how to stay calm in traffic. My Gojek driver asked if I get frustrated in traffic as we were sitting in traffic. And I was like, not at all. I said, no, do you? And he said, yeah, I've been thinking about doing yoga to try to be more calm. And I was like, just do this. You don't even have to do yoga and you'll feel instantly better. Ta-da! He tried it. He loved it. I paid him for the ride, but I'm pretty sure with life tips like that, the ride should have been free. Just kidding. I'm happy to spread these tips. They are free. Self-Friendship Podcast is free. Guys, this is free. Priceless, but free. You're welcome. All right. A note on being barefoot. The other day, I was bopping around barefoot, as I do, because Bali. And I had a moment where I was like, wow, I'm so grateful I have the ability to wander around the streets and into restaurants barefoot. And then I started laughing to myself about how it's a luxury to me to be barefoot, because it's wild if you think about it. Some people don't have the choice to even wear shoes, and others don't have a choice not to. One of the most natural states of being barefoot has somehow become either a luxury or a laxury. Oh, society. Now, the question of the week. Can you think of a time when giving felt really rewarding and why? On the flip side, a time when giving didn't feel as fulfilling and why? Email me your answers, selffriendshippodcast@gmail.com. And bonus Self-Friendship Podcast episodes featuring your world. Each selected submission will be its own episode where I'll be giving my perspective, dancing, and opinions through the lens of self-friendship. This is, of course, not a substitute for professional support. Bonus episodes are now available once per month exclusively for founding members of Planit Butter's publication, hosted on Substack, planetbutter.substack.com/subscribe. The link is also in the show notes or the link in my Instagram bio @planetbutter. planetbutter.substack.com/subscribe. And of course, subscribe to be notified and receive more playfully helpful content. And Planit Butter's book, Party of One, Self-Friendship in Action, is available internationally on planetbutter.com. And please subscribe and review the show wherever you're watching and listening. It's super helpful. Thanks for landing on Planit Butter. I'll see you next Thursday. From my planet to yours, Blizzard. Planit Butter Ring says bye.